I started. Okay.
Yep, looks like it's doing it.
So assignment for today, our group discussion agenda. We'll begin with Progressa Financiero case. And we need to answer the following question. What are the possible causes of Progressa's poor sales performance? What do you think? So why it was possible?
I think some of it had to do with
what kind of lag do they have?
What kind of what do they have?
What kind of lags do they have?
Well, they're AEs.
Disadvantages in their working or business organization.
Right. No, I think that the way that they hired some of their people based off of like just watching them in the grocery stores, that's a good way to probably recruit some people and stuff. But I think that shouldn't be your only way to hire. I also think people lost their motivation, especially with the chart, as once you hit like 45 accounts, then it was the same commission. So instead of going, now that you're at 50, you get a higher commission. 55, you get a higher commission. So it was, I think people, the AEs or the salespeople didn't really care to go beyond that top number 45 because they didn't really make anything more. So I think that had to do with it. I also do think there was a language barrier to a certain extent with regards to what people needed to understand, because some people only spoke Spanish, some of the salespeople, some people only spoke English, and I think that made it difficult to communicate the exact things that you needed to have communicated.
Yeah, probably yes. Probably you're right. But according to me, I admitted the following disadvantages. First, a lack of professional criteria for recruitment and onboarding process. Maybe, yeah. Second, lack of personal selection and training system. Third, poor motivated accounted executives. Fourth, not enough effective sales management system. Fifth, inability to track conversion rates at each stage of the sales process. Yeah. Sixth, difficulties to calculate true cost per conversion due to the use of existing accounting method. No, it was some disadvantages in their accounting method. And the seventh, the absence and effective operating model for stores. And I think that the options available to improve the performance maybe one, to develop the necessary criteria for recruitment and onboarding the staff, to create an effective system. Yeah, to create an effective system of personal selection and training based on the developed criteria. Third, to improve the motivation system of properly selected and trained account executives. Fourth, to develop new store operating model that would get sustainable profitability of the unit. Fifth, creation of an adequate information system to ensure the ability to track conversion rates at each stage of the sales process. Sixth, modifying or aligning the accounting method of Progressa to create an opportunity to calculate the true cost per conversion. And seventh, the need to develop an effective operating model for stores, which will provide them with sustainable profitability for every unit. Do you agree with such proposition?
Yeah, I think I think we're on the same page with a lot of the things that they need to work on, and then also the way you suggest improving the performance. I definitely agree with those. Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. So good job.
So, which elements of a business model are validated? Why do you think so?
I think
what we consider as elements of business model.
I think just the product is actually a really good idea. It's just the way it's being sold or not sold in this case, that is making it more difficult. The tracking, like you had mentioned, doing more tracking of how certain things are doing. So that part of the business model was totally failed. But I think the product is actually a pretty good idea. I think in the locations too that they were talking about, inside of Sears and inside of Kmart, those could be a really good place. Although the Sears employees, they were not taught to promote this card unless the other card was denied. And so that made it difficult to try and make those sales. They should have been able, as part of the contract, they should have included that both cards would be offered at the same time to the customer. So yeah, I think it's just a good product, and it could serve a need and a purpose for a lot of customers, but just the way they went about it is not a good way.
Okay, I can agree with you, but I think that we can include here also the following components, which maybe accounting components like fixed cost, yeah, variable cost, fixed cost, monthly rent plus both fixed account executive compensation. It should be equal to 2,000 plus 3,818. And totally it will be 5,818. So the most component here is a fixed account executive compensation. Yeah, variable cost, variable costs, which is $1 per hour times hour per week times weeks in a month, and for two persons it will be $2,560. So total cost for 2 persons working on the unit will be fixed cost plus variable costs, and total cost will be 7,678. Well, actually, I can show you that spreadsheet where I can did this calculation if you want. So just a second, I will show.
Yeah, no problem. No, I'm following right along with you. The fixed cost and the variable cost, it came to like 7,000 something. So, and how much did they make off of it? Is that what you included also?
As you can see it, you can see the statement.
Okay.
Yeah. So 7,687, and how we can calculate the average total cost to acquire a new loan? We just need to change. We can need to change number of loans issued here, and it's very simple. If you can see it, how to calculate it. It's quite easy. So
the average total cost to acquire a new loan is it $86.27?
Yes, $86.27. When number of loans issued is 89. Yeah.
Okay.
When we change this figure, just a second. Among them also the following changing elements. Yeah, as account executive maximum compensation per the loan, $35. Here from the table you can see it. Yeah. Number of loans issued 89. Number of staff with max 55 loans per one account executive. It's here. I think that for 89 number of loans, it would be two persons. Total cost to acquire a new loan by one account executive. Total cost to acquire a new loan by one account executive of 12.5% managerial premium. Yeah? And average total cost to acquire a new loan with 89 quantity of loans, 89 loans, and with compensation 35 and 2 persons staff.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Great.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
then.
No, that was a great spreadsheet.
Then, now ask your group member to share alternative points of view. How much profit does Progressive earn on a new loan with the current number of loans per month at a grocery store location? How many new loans do they need per location to break even? What do you think?
Oh,
it's
let's
difficult.
See. It is difficult because I'm trying to think of the calculations that I did. Let me just go over to my document.
Because I have all the necessary figures already calculated. I can show it.
Oh, you do?
If you want. So.
Okay. No, that's sure. That's fine.
That's fine. Just a second. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure I was doing my calculations correct or not, but
So as we can see, if we consider expected value of interest and fees for a new loan, minimum 55.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
According to our tradition, when somebody sneezes, we have to say, be healthy.
Oh, yeah.
Be healthy.
Yeah, here it is. Bless you.
So, if we consider expected value of interest and fees for a new loan, minus $55 in interest cost on the loan, we will get 180 plus 180 times 65 minus 55. It will be $2,242. And the same with the case of renewal loan. That's the same, but we times it's on 80%. These figures on 80%, and the same is the rest, and we will get $218.6. So to reach the break-even point, we will need, in the case of loan without renewal, the total cost over 242 will be 31.7, 32 loans, and in the case of loans with renewal, it would be 36 loans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
I think that it's quite easy. It's just a little bit think about it. So I think it's
I think
right.
I forgot to deduct the 55 when I did my calculations.
55? No.
I forgot to deduct it.
So I think it's also acceptable. But the question number 3, change the current compensation plan to improve the number of loans made per month. Yeah? You can change the variable amount, the number of loans needed to receive a payout, and or the fixed compensation. For instance, under the current compensation plan in the table 1, we can calculate the unit cost per loan under the following. Let's using those table I show it to you. So for 77 loans per month, it will be 99.71. For 111 loans per month, it will be 69.17. And for 150 loans per month, it will be 51.19. Yeah. And what we need to do to increase the overall profitability of loan. And here there are 3 possible options. In my opinion, A, increase the cost of credit for customers. Which can significantly reduce the number of customers as disadvantage.
That's true.
If we increase the cost of credit for customers, understand. B, reduce variable costs. This may not be possible since the hourly wage rate may be lower than the established minimum in the state.
Mm-hmm.
We will reduce if they decided to reduce variable costs. It may be even lower than the established minimum because they also use very low variable cost per hour, which is only $8 per hour.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very low price. Very low price. And reduce the fixed accounted executable compensation from table 1 of the assignment, page 9. But this is may adversely affect on performance of the staff.
And that was the big one that I had actually said with regards to actions that they should take, is changing the AE amounts, especially above 45. So.
The second question is quite ridiculous. Don't waste time trying to figure out a way to break even with lower number of loans. I calculated that this will be 32 loans. And how can I find it? According to the previous calculation, the break-even point we will need in the case of loans without renewal will be total cost over 242. Will be only 32 loans.
Okay.
Which is very low, and of course they don't accept. I don't think they don't accept that. Company management don't accept that.
Okay.
Yeah. Develop a broader action plan to include specific activities. Will you manage activities or results? What do you think so?
Well, I think the AE actions needs to be, I think they need to hire AEs that are motivated and that stay motivated. I believe that a lot of them have good customer service skills, but they are just lacking in their sales ability. And I believe the case even mentioned how they needed to hire people that had worked for like Avon and other sales type of companies, as opposed to just ones that were like the clerks or whatever at the grocery store. They needed to actually bring in salespeople, people who knew how to talk to people or talk to customers and how to get the results. And let's see. Yeah, that's what I think would be my main focus, is just focusing on getting the right AEs in there.
So from my opinion, I think that to reach such an ambition plans, they need to learn how to manage the results first. That yes. is to be aimed and achieving the highest performance indicators. However, this is impossible without the daily monitoring and control of the company. Therefore, I believe that they should use both of these management objectives, but with an emphasis on the ultimate highest result. Agree or not agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Agree, great. So, will you keep your current account executives? Do you expect them to stay with the new compensation plan? Or where will you find new account executives if the current ones leave? What do you think so?
I think that you need to get rid of some of their AEs right now. Some are just not doing the task and they're just not motivated, so why keep them? And with the new compensation plan, so are we talking about like higher commissions on the new compensation plan?
But if they accept a higher commission for a new compensation plan, their profit, they cannot reach their plans of profit, and I don't think that it would be acceptable. I think
so it wouldn't be worth it.
That they need to increase the efficiency of working of each account executive.
Yeah.
Calculations show that in order to achieve greater profitability, the current account executive's compensation plan will need to be revised downwards, unfortunately. And at the same time, the amount of compensation itself will decrease, which will increase the company's profit. But to compensate for the possible outflow for account executives in this regard, it will be possible on the basis of the introduction of a new efficient system for selection and training of personnel of the company to make them work more efficiently.
Gotcha. I think
this is my opinion in this case. Okay, so we finished Progressive Finance Bureau case. Yeah, let's go to Noodles and Company case and try to answer the following questions. What made Noodles and Company an attractive opportunity for Aaron Kennedy in 1995? What do you think so?
I think, well, he liked the dish that he ate up in, what was it, New York? That was the noodles. I don't remember the name of that company. They might not have even said, but that's where he got the idea. And he just realized that there might be a good space for that fast food, but not really fast food market. And that's what Noodles and Company could do. They could have their dish, I think, out in 5 minutes. That's what they had said. And people look for that. People are looking for good food, good healthy food that they can get still quickly, as opposed to like McDonald's or something. That's obviously, it's not healthy for you. Yes, it's fast food, but it's not going to be as healthy for you as something like Noodles and Company. And Noodles and Company could intertwine several cultures into their food, such as Thai and Chinese and Japanese and all the different companies that are countries that make noodles. So I think that's why it was so attractive for Aaron to be able to go with. So how about you? What did you think?
I think that Noodles Company became an attractive opportunity for Aaron Kennedy in 1995, not only because of the popular concept of fast casual, that would be offer freshly prepared noodle cuisine, but also considering different cultural influences from around the world.
Yeah.
It's the same what you have said already, including Asian, Mediterranean, and American traditions. The menu featured a variety of hot noodle balls, noodle salads, as well as high-quality desserts and drinks that complement the international taste of food. And within 5 minutes after a quick order, customers enjoyed the delivery of freshly prepared noodle snacks, which Noodles Company staff cooked in authentic porcelain plates in a cozy, comfortable atmosphere without a tip.
Yeah.
Like an ideal model, yeah.
But yeah, I think so. I think it was also a nice. It's a good meal to have in between lunch and dinner, or to have as a substitute for lunch or dinner. So it's a good match with regards to meals.
So it's. I think that is a good model, which is concentrate the fast food model and international cuisine. It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting, and I think, and I understand that it was very popular at the time. So doing so, they started with just one restaurant in 1995, and then Noodles Company had successfully grown from 3 restaurants pulling in 1.6 million in revenues in 1997 to 58 restaurants with 50 million in revenues at year-end 2002. So during 5 years, they make a great breakthrough in their
It became popular very quickly.
Yeah, in their business model. So it really was a great company. And the next question: what caused the company's early struggles, and why do you think so? What was the early struggles of the company?
I think the main thing was just that they grew too fast and didn't have the capability or the knowledge of how the previous store was doing. It could have been great to grow fast, but they didn't even know that the first store was struggling because of their accounting tactics or accounting program that they were using. They didn't know that they had a cash flow problem, and here they started the new store before even finding that out. So I think that caused some financial difficulties. I still think they had a great concept, and people liked it, but just having that growth too big before they even had a chance to fix the issues was a problem.
Well, I had to add to your opinion that they have another problem, which was connected to competitors. Because the company's early struggles were caused by tremendous pressures from the large players seeking to push into the fast casual segment that Noodles Company had helped to inspire and shape. Noodles & Company was battling the competition on multiple fronts. It fought for attractive real estate, for qualified and enthusiastic employees, for capital, and of course for customers. And Gennady Graps with Hub could compete effectively in an increasingly crowded marketplace, achieving his growth objectives and still maintain Noodles Company's unique culture. This quite competitive environment, so it was been not very simple.
I really liked what he had a great business model, I guess, with regards to his employees too, because of the ones that stuck around, ones that were there in high school and then came back after college, or they worked there during college and just continued to grow in the company. It sounded like he had excellent retention numbers in keeping his employees and keeping them happy. Yeah, I think that was a good thing.
Sure, you're right. So, and the next question, I think that's not very difficult. What role should franchising play in the company's growth?
I am a big franchise. Well, we own our own franchise right now. And so I'm actually pretty agreeable to doing a franchise. And I think that there's definitely some pros and there's some cons. But with regards to how much they're growing and the amounts that they could get, the sales or the commissions off of their franchise fees and stuff, I think it would be a good move to offer franchising, in my opinion. But I know there's some who might not, agree with franchising as much. But how about you? Are you agreeable to franchising?
Actually, yes, because they this model will make for them a very prospective future, I think so, because they can spread all over the world using such a model.
True.
And,
yep.
Yeah.
They're pretty limited to the area that they have.
In restaurant business is a very good model for expanding.
Yes.
Not around the United States, but around the world even, because they have very effective business model and quite interesting products.
Yes.
Which can really become very popular. So not only would this reduce the capital requirement, franchising, not only would reduce the capital requirements, but it would place some of the operational responsibilities on others, lessening the burden on Noodles Company. They were sure that franchising, while a popular model in the restaurant business, would be an entirely new strategy for Noodles Company, and Gennady wondered what its implication would be and whether it made sense for this company. So it was quite prospective for them. What are specific advantages and disadvantages on the franchising model for Noodles, including the financial, economic, and organizational consequences? What do you think so? Specific advantages and disadvantages.
The organizational advantages is just having the business model already laid out for you. They already know, at least this is what normally a franchise would be given is, okay, you need to have your manager and you need to have your employees or your leads and then your employees and that kind of stuff. So they have the organization already for you. One of the disadvantages is that the main company, the parent company, would need to do a lot more. I know they had mentioned they would need to hire a real estate person. They would need to hire someone with regards to bookkeeping or accounting to handle just the franchise portion. Trying to think what other one. There was even like a VP that they would need to hire that would handle the franchises. So there would be quite a few additional positions that would have to be added to the parent company, and that could be a disadvantage because of the costs. But if you're growing in 1,000 other franchises, then it would probably be worth it too. So and that leads right into financial. The financial advantages is getting that more money. You had mentioned not having to have as much capital, I think it was. So that's a good financial advantage. Disadvantage again could be with regards to financial, just depending on what they give. So like with our franchise, when we buy a company, they give us a van, they give us the basic materials, they give us all the training materials, they give us a training. So we go to the company and we actually train with them. So that could have costs for the parent company.
Oh, but actually it depends, because it depends only the franchising agreement. If they didn't put the necessity to bring them, I don't know, a lot of fixed assets and etc. And like vans, like transportation. So it depends only of franchising agreement. So
yeah,
according to financial, I think that franchising will give that the opportunity to grow in the foreign capital, and they will even be able to grow faster and than originally predicted. This would allow Noodles & Company to keep its growth plan intact by developing a mix of 50% franchise and 50% company-owned stores beginning in 2004. And not only would this reduce the organizational challenges, but the combination of cash flow from franchising unit and reduced capital requirements for company-owned stores would reduce company capital needs to 25 million over the next few years. So if you compare it to $80 million investment they need to not using this franchising model, but only opening their own restaurants, it will be really very big saving, very big. Reducing their costs from $80 million to $25 million over the next few years. Question number 2. Estimate how much total profit the company would earn annually under a franchise scenario and a company-owned scenario using the following assumption. There are 85 company-owned stores, so we need here only to calculate. I can calculate it in spreadsheet. I just show it to you. Okay, just a minute. So here, as you can see, this is a comparative tables, actually 2 tables. Yeah, there we have the figures which reflects the sales and restaurant contribution to profit. In the case they only in own units and in own plus franchisee units. So you can see.
That looks,
Yeah, no.
that looks really good.
I did it because it's really quite interesting for me to figure out if and at what circumstances it will be equal one to another, because on this model many depends on one-time unit development fees.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that less than $100,000 is not acceptable for them, because in this case, those figures will be not similar. Concerning 300 units, total 300 units in 2006. So
that's good. Yeah. No, I was just trying to look along.
So I have to say, when they determined figures for a company in a strategy by 2006, it took about 80 million in capital. Yeah, I have said it. To substantially avoid this cost, they decided from 2003 to start open 50% of the new stores under franchising. And considering the company wants to reach 3,000 stores by 2006 and own store operating margin is 80%. I created in the table, I just show it to you. There I compare the potential total restaurant contribution to profit from 2003 to 2006 under 2 conditions. Only in their own restaurants units and in their own plus franchises, restaurants and units. And thus, on the basis of the calculation done, it can be concluded that in the case of franchising, the company saves about 60 million up to 2006, up 40 million of capital, and frees itself from finding half of a suitable real estate in a very competitive market of real estate. Mm-hmm. And in the case of franchising, it obtain indicators comparable to the case of independent development without franchising. The company must charge at least 100,000 one-time unit development fees with subsequent annual royalties of at least 5% of franchise's gross income. So this is my calculation.
Okay.
And I think that we have discussed all the questions.
Agenda, yeah.
Yeah, all the agenda. So would you like to give us to say our summary of our discussion?
On this one or on both of them?
Mm-hmm. No, maybe of Noodles and Company case.
Okay, so Noodles and Company, I think we're in agreement with some of their product and also the advantages and disadvantages of franchising, but we're more apt to think that franchising would be a good fit for this business model. Mm-hmm. And that the numbers, I think you said it was 100,000 that they would sell it for. At 5% interest is where they would make the best amounts that would make it beneficial for them. Yeah, I think that kind of sums up what we discussed. I hope I didn't miss anything, but that was a very brief summary.
Great. So thank you very much.
Will that help you answer your the actual questions too for the group assignment? Yeah,
I have prepared the group assignment and will put it in the cloud and set it for our members of our group to edit it. If they decided to edit it, they will do it maybe during this day and for tomorrow until evening.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Okay. Great.
All right, I think you did a great job. Thanks, Rustlin.
Thank you very much. So I'll just stop our recording. Okay.